Roland, I know you had a chance, obviously, to speak with Kendrick Meek. He knew the political play here. I mean, he knew how this was going to play out in terms of his chances. What's the timing of this all about?
Well, actually, not necessarily. I mean, remember, first of all, Charlie Crist is a Republican. He's running as an independent, but he's a Republican. He realized he could not beat Marco Rubio in the primary, so he decided to run as an independent. Meek actually was the first candidate to jump into the U.S. Senate race. And so it's interesting that here he wins the Democratic nomination, and Democrats are saying, and look, beyond President Bill Clinton, we've seen other Democrats talk about they want Meek to drop out to keep the seat from Rubio. But the reality is, Crist is a Republican. And Meek saying, look, that's what's going on here. There's no doubt when you look at the polling data right now, Rubio is in first, Crist is in second, and Meek is in third. I talked to a senior Democratic official, and said the thinking was if Meek had come out of the primary, was polling at around 28 or 30%, that would have showed that he had a surge in voters, and then the play would have been to go to Crist to say, look, you don't have a shot, you need to drop out. And so there's no doubt they don't want Rubio with the seat. But again, even if Crist wins, who says Crist doesn't caucus with the Republicans? So there's no guarantee he aligns himself with Democrats.
I understand, too, that the White House, I mean, what seems to underscore this whole thing is that their agenda is in trouble, and they are now, potentially, they could be relying on someone who used to be Republican, now is independent, who's promised to caucus with the Democrats. What do you think that says about where this administration is in pushing forward what it wants to do for the next 2 years?
Well, first of all, there's absolute scramble there. You've had Democrats who've been complaining that President Obama has spent far more time campaigning for senators as opposed to for members of the House. The expectation by many prognosticators is that Republicans, they are going to take control of the House. So Democrats are trying to hold on to at least one chamber of Congress, and that is the U.S. Senate. And so they are trying to figure out how do you get to that point where you have 50, 51, 52 votes. And so that's what you see going on here in terms of how you deal with the president's agenda. But remember, even though Democrats right now have 59 seats in the House, the president's agenda has still been troublesome because you have an independent in Senator Joe Lieberman. You also have Republicans who made it clear that you have to have a 60-vote threshold. And so you have this whole back and forth going on. Democrats are trying anything and everything to hold on to some semblance of power when it comes to the Congress because they're going up against a fierce anti-incumbent mood across this country.
Roland, real quick here, last question. How does this impact African-American voters who make up 10% in Florida when it comes to voting? Are they angry? Are they offended by what's happened with Meek?
Well, first of all, it's very interesting. As I follow comments on Facebook and Twitter, I talked to Congressman Meek on the Tom Joyner Morning Show today. You have some folks, no doubt, who are angry, upset. I talked to black members of Congress. Congressman Alcee Hastings is angry. I talked to other CBC members. But then you have some black voters who are saying, wait a minute, Meek is in third in the polls. Hey, we don't want Rubio to hold the seat. And so it's a toss-up right there. But you also have the Democratic gubernatorial candidate. She's saying, Alex Sink, how will this impact me as well? And so, we have no idea. But voting is going on right now. Meek says, I'm getting votes right now. I'm not getting out of this race. And so it is an absolute mess in Florida. But why should we be shocked? It's Florida.